Okay, so I'm gonna talk about my musical experience at Jones. Um, when I came to Jones, I had to pick an elective basically, so that's your like art class, and I don't really remember picking it, but I ended up in beginning band, and the teacher, Mr. Menzies, he's a really good teacher, pretty inspiring. He told good stories. I really enjoyed the class. I was put on the euphonium. Starting, I really didn't want to be put on the euphonium because I have asthma, and I just assumed that because I had asthma, I wouldn't be able to play a wind instrument as efficiently. But he put me on regardless, and I'm pretty thankful for that. That's pretty much it for freshman year. Sophomore year, I was moved up to sophomore year. I was moved up to advanced band, and in advanced band, I did marching band. So along with euphonium, on concert band, symphonic band, like playing classical music, I doubled on to trombone. Yeah, so I was playing the trombone and the euphonium sophomore year. It was really nice because they were players, they were pretty experienced, so I was able to learn a lot from them. You know, I had colleagues that were better than me, so I was able to learn a lot. And that's pretty much how that went. Towards the end of the year, Mr. Menzies got fired. We're not really sure. They didn't really like tell us. Administration wasn't very transparent with us as to what happened, and we didn't know what was happening. But I mean, that was the end of sophomore year. We did the graduation without him. We played Pomp and Circumstance for like 50 minutes. Next was a huge turning point in my musical career, which was meeting Cole Burrell. This is Cole Burrell.
Get away from me, bro. Social distance, bro.
Facts. So we started hanging out just as friends, but he ended up showing me a lot of like jazz. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a cool form of art, and I started making a lot of playlists for jazz. It was I really enjoyed it. I had a ton of playlists by the end of the summer where it was like swing, Latin, bebop, cubop, cool jazz, and all that, ballads. I had a ton. I was just doing a bunch of research on jazz because I was really interested in it. And I remember it was the day of the open house when I saw the jazz band playing. They were playing Recording Mate, and I thought that was just super cool. It became my favorite song. I remember I brought a trombone down, like as a joke, like, can I hop in on this tune? And obviously, like I didn't know how to play it or how to solo. After I showed interest in playing jazz, you know, Mr. Block and Taraz and Cole, they all started helping me like understand the art form. You know what it is to solo? Yeah. Pretty cool. This is junior year, which all this happened. So junior year, found an interest in jazz. I was in concert band. In concert band, I had 3 inexperienced trumpet players. So I ended up switching onto the trumpet. I taught myself how to play the trumpet so that I could help the trumpet section, and that was pretty cool. Yeah, I played the trumpet with the trumpet section, and I guess that was the bridge that allowed me to play with the Jones band eventually. Yeah. Once I started playing the trumpet, Mr. Block asked me if I wanted to play in the Jones big band. Started playing like force myself into the environment. I was throwing myself into the deep end. So I signed up for the musical to play in the musical. So it taught me a lot. I was able to play with a professional trumpet player, and he taught me a lot about playing the trumpet. I think that was a really good experience. It really taught me a lot. I remember it was February that I was inundated with things to play because I was playing with the jazz band. I was preparing for the Whitney Young Jazz Festival. I was preparing for Spamalot the musical. And I was also preparing for the BSU showcase that I did with some of the jazz band members. It wasn't really that good, but I think it was just throwing myself into the deep end, as I said. It was just really important in learning jazz. Oh, and then afterwards, after the shows, February, I joined All City Band, and that was also pretty important. I was playing in the All City Jazz Band, not too experienced, but it was just another thing that I needed to do in order to get myself out there and playing jazz. Before junior year ended, I had my first gig with the jazz band. I was playing at Friends of Jones event. That was my first gig, and I got paid in pizza. I guess it was pretty cool. Okay, so now we're on to junior year summer. Okay, so Cole's in Ravinia, and he had a show at the Jazz Showcase, and I remember going there, and that was when I saw like all of the like jazz scholars of Chicago playing, and I was like, okay, I need to join this next year. During the summer, I remember going to the Jazz Showcase. It was a good experience. There were the ups and downs. I mean, I was inspired by it. I remember going to the late night bossa nova sessions that they were doing. Yeah, it was really nice. But I remember going to a jam session in the jazz community. They do things called a jam session, where you go out and you meet up at a location, which was the Jazz Showcase for me, and they play standards. But what I didn't know about the jazz etiquette was that you're not supposed to bring a real book. A real book is basically a book that has all the jazz standards in it. And because I brought a real book, I was just getting vibed. And I remember going up on stage, and it was literally a disaster. Like they didn't give me the key, and overall it was a terrible experience. But I guess it did teach me a lot about failure and coming more prepared. Next time I went to a jam session, I had a bunch of tunes memorized. I knew how to solo over it. I comfortably could solo over them. That was the last time I visited the Jazz Showcase during the summer. After that, I just went into the shed for the entire summer, trying to get good enough to get into Ravinia. I was practicing around 6 hours a day. No, 6 hours. I was practicing around 3 hours a day, and by the time I got to the audition at Ravinia, I was pretty confident, and I got in. I guess the only other thing that happened during the summer was when I started a band. It was an indie band. I started with Cole, because me and Cole, we wanted to start a band basically for the entire during the summer, but it was trumpet and bass. Like, you know, like what are we supposed to do with that? So I remember Ari had a house show. Ari's the drummer of our current band, and they had a house show, and I remember talking with them, and I was like, well, like, you play the drums, and I know Lainey plays the guitar, and Zoe can sing. So I was like, you guys want to start a band? And they were all like, yeah. So I remember that morning, the morning after, I snapped all of them, and I was like, would you be down to be in a band with so and so? And they were like, yeah, that's raw. So I made a group chat called The Band, and we just discussed our first meetup. The meetup was great, and then we became a band. We, like, along with like playing music together, we were also like super tightly knit as a friend group. I remember our first show was Halloween. We had a Halloween show. We had a good Halloween show. We had and two others that were pretty fun. They were all really good shows.
Sound check. 5 seconds. Check.
All right. Starting senior year, I was in the top combo with some of the other band members, and basically I was playing at the gigs that I had originally watched from the sidelines last year. So I was, the front line. I was the top trumpet in jazz band. I was the soloist and lead trumpet player, and for Ravinia, I was also the lead trumpet player, not the top soloist though. Doing gigs for our indie band Square One, and I was also playing in Ravinia and playing with the Jones band. It was really nice. I remember the jazz festival at Whitney Young. I was able to play in playing the jam session. It was much nicer. I got complimented by the trumpet person giving the master class. I was complimented by him because he was watching from the sidelines at the jam session. He pulled me aside and he was like, yeah, like, you got pretty good chops. You had potential. So I guess that's really it. We had a Square One show. After that, I got invited to play with Mach 9, but unfortunately, coronavirus pretty much ended everything. So yeah, I guess that's the end of senior year. And yeah.